This video is about how my catamaran went from looking like this to looking like this. I'll be going through the process it took to renovate it and the improvements that have been made. I built it 2 years ago and it has always been a pretty fast boat, weighing about 8 kilograms and over a metre in length, with 2 Turnigy XK4074s which produce 3000 watts each, meaning the boat has a total power output of just over 8 horsepower. To power it, I've been using 2 Hobby King 150 amp ESCs and a single 6S 4000 mAh battery. In the past, I've achieved speeds of about 65 miles per hour, but hopefully after the work is done, I'll be able to get above that. This video is a restoration of a boat I built a few years ago. I didn't make a video of building it the first time round because I was learning and made a lot of mistakes. These mistakes are what I'll be fixing in this video now, hopefully making it faster and better looking. The first step was stripping the entire boat down to only the hull. This means no water intakes and outlets, no electronics and water cooling for them. The shaft stabiliser have to come off, as well as the rudder, push rod and its water seal. As you can see, it was broken, which is probably one of the reasons so much water was getting in. Next off is the rudder, which is actually a pain because the servo mount is right behind where the retaining nuts go, so it's almost impossible to get to. Next is sanding the entire boat. This was the most tedious part because it was not just sanding but also patching holes with epoxy, flattening surfaces smooth, and just general time-intensive work. The father of stuff is almost certainly dacky, which is why you'll see about halfway through I decided to start doing it outside. I spent well over 10 hours of just sanding, epoxying, sanding, etc. The epoxy I'm mixing is to fill some of the imperfections in the hull. Anyway, the next part was to properly glue in the prop shaft outers, as they had come loose from their resin at some point. This disgusting looking mixture is just standard marine epoxy with about 50-50 mix of cotton fibres. These increase the resin's viscosity, meaning it doesn't run all over the boat, as well as decreasing stiffness a little, which is very important so the whole thing doesn't just crack from the vibrations of the motor. Here is more sanding, this time on the bottom of the boat, which unfortunately wasn't flat from a previous repair attempt. Here I'm cleaning off the dust, ready for priming. A final clean with isopropyl to remove any fine dust, just to make sure the primer sticks well. Next, I prime the transom and underside, mainly so the single smooth cutter can help me identify surface imperfections on the bottom of the boat. Before priming, you couldn't see the uneven surface at the top, but as the grey goes on it becomes much easier. Once identified, more hours of sanding were in order. This time, the sanding is in the hopes that once done, it can be given a proper coat of paint. In retrospect, all of this should have been done with the motors out, but luckily it didn't damage them. The first coat of primer is going on here, then being sanded down and a second coat laid on. I didn't include the sanding step as it was all much more of the same. didn't walk in front of the camera for the next little bit.
In front of which camera?
That. Now I'm priming the top of the boat. Here you can see it with the white lid on. The quality I thought was pretty good, though there were a few minor imperfections. The next step was a layer of white over just where the stripe's going to be. These would be masked off before the red was applied. I haven't mentioned yet, but I usually stick to the engineering and electronics part of RC, so this is my first time properly painting something. If you know what you're doing with spray paints, you'll probably cringe a bit, sorry. This was the first coat of red and I was very nervous. It felt like these hours of work had come to this point and a single run can ruin everything. Also, doing this outside meant unfortunately dust would tend to stick to the paint. This became a problem on a previous attempt at painting, so I've skipped out a whole sanding / repriming step because it's just a repeat. And, well, I got some runs. Luckily, none were too bad, and after a few more coats, they are not noticeable. Probably not the best way of dealing with it, but they seem to work out okay. This was definitely a moment of mixed emotions, as on the one hand, it was very satisfying seeing the boat sprayed in a nice red after all the years of it being white, black, grey and orange. However, the white lines not being clean really bugged me. I think the masking tape I used was bad quality and allowed red paint under the edges, though I've really not much idea. In my opinion, it still looks pretty good and I was expecting the lines not to be the cleanest anyway. In future, I may use a single thinner line of better quality masking tape and respray the top with a few coats of red. Another option would be using vinyl, but I think I prefer this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, the painting is done for now, and it is time for reassembly. First on are the prop shaft stabilizers, which like everything on this boat are a pain to attach. I had to make sure the prop shafts were in the correct rotation. This is because flex shafts are not a single metal rod, but instead many thinner wires all twisted together. This means they are slightly flexible, which helps a lot with mounting and vibrations. Unfortunately, it also means if you put them on the wrong ways, the torque from driving the propeller will unspool them. Next is the rudder, and with that, everything is back together and ready for a test drive. It is winter as I'm writing this, but in summer I'll take it out and record some videos of it. The top speed I've gotten out of it in the past was about 65 miles per hour. Since then though, the water cooling has been fixed, I bought some decent propellers and a second battery, so I'm hoping for about 75. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe.
Oh my god! That was... Give us some full... Oh my god! You are going for it! Thomas! Oh! Thomas!
It's like Slytherin in real life.
Oh my god, this is so scary.